Why do silent moments feel so uncomfortable? Sometimes even terrifying. Hey guys, it's John sitting here in the studio with my glass of water, loving the day, making videos for you. Why does silence seem so terrifying? See, the truth is that silence is where spirit speaks, and that's where it speaks the loudest. So let's explore why we fear it and how we can embrace it. In today's society, there's an obsession with distraction, phones, media, noise. Silence feels like nothingness. It feels like stagnation. It feels like a void. It feels like limbo in a world of constant doing. Rumi said, silence is the language of God. All else is poor translation. I love that quote because people are often taking their own ideas of spirituality and they're translating it out into the world, and that they express it loudly. But it's our own silence within where we find that oneness, where we find our own personal truth. Be still and know that I am God. And that idea of being still and knowing that I am is where you come to know your truest spirit, your non-corporeal self. And why does that silence feel so scary? It exposes inner voices we'd rather avoid. It exposes that inner voice, but yet it also sometimes will confront us with unresolved pain. It'll show us the fears and the anxieties of life to overcome. But the reason it shows it to us is because it's what we must overcome. It confronts those unresolved pain by putting them in front of you for you to actually create a different choice or a different direction. And oftentimes we define our own identity by the chatter of our mind. And sometimes that silence can feel like a loss of identity. Oftentimes people will go to a meditation retreat and they'll be terrified of the experience, and they're expecting all these big light show experiences, and they're terrified they're going to get it wrong. They're terrified that they're going to be the failure in the group. And in reality, that's just the inner chatter of the mind. Being in the now doesn't have a judgment. You're not being judged by anything or anyone. There's a spiritual gift in stillness. As I said, Yeshua said, be still and know that I am God. Eckhart Tolle said, stillness is where creativity and solutions arise. When I found myself just simply exhaling and listening to what's going on around with me, I ended up being the person who delivered the solutions. Understanding that when you shut off the mind, you open the expanse of awareness, and you suddenly start to get information that doesn't come from you. The private sessions I've done in the past, which are ending in December, I sit down and write beforehand. But what do? I go into silence. I go into a feeling of loving compassion with that person's name on my mind. And that information comes through for them. I personally think it's coming from their higher self. But to me, it's me stepping into that greater awareness, that stillness, and allowing the information to come through that's supposed to come through. When you avoid silence, you're actually blocking your growth. And putting yourself into constant noise drowns intuition. How many people do you know that turn on the television, then hop on the computer or on their phone, and they've got all of this input coming in from all different directions? They're creating constant noise to drown out what's in their mind. It used to drive people crazy when they would go on trips with me because I would drive for hours and hours and never turn the radio on. How can you do that, John? How can you not have the radio on? Because I just go into stillness and quiet as I drive. Busyness is a false sense of self. We keep ourselves busy to feel worthy, to feel like we're achieving. But we can achieve without the stress and anxiety of constant noise. We can achieve not by avoiding what keeps old wounds from healing. The singer Nightbird, who died of cancer, she said, you don't have to wait till things aren't hard to be happy. It's a matter of understanding that you have that ability in this moment, and that expanded awareness that you can choose happiness, that you can choose to be in that loving moment. You can reframe your life, and silence can be not absence, but presence. You step into that present moment and say, the rest of this is just chatter coming from all directions and all parts of the ethos. And when you look at it from the idea that most of it's talking about the past or the future, but it's not here now. Buy this tomorrow. This happened to you yesterday. It's literally about right here, right now. Stillness reigns. Stillness reveals the true nature beyond those thoughts, beyond those techniques of sales. Muddy waters clears only when it's still. When it's in motion, it's always constantly muddy. But water is always in motion, even when it's still. But it's a matter of it coming down to a more still and less chaotic movement where we get to the clarity of it.
And now, a quick word from our sponsor. Coffee Time with John. This channel runs off coffee, so get your coffee and tea at johnsjoe.com.
I sit in love every morning, and what that is for me is I just sit down. I exhale, and I revel in that feeling of relaxation found at the bottom of that breath. If you would do this, once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day, for as short as a minute or two, your experience would change, because in that moment of silence, in that moment of just feeling, your whole life experience would ease. It would become more comfortable. In nature, noises rise without labels. They just are. They're there. It's the same thing with your mind. If you silent your mind, information will flow. It's there. It's just waiting for you to shut up. It's waiting for you to turn off the phone and to stop listening to the latest person who's trying to tell you what to believe. You have the power. It's always within you. Take a couple minutes a day and just be present. Look around, experience where you are. Be grateful for the things that you have that you don't have to struggle for every day. Write some things down that you really love about your life, and who you love and what you love, and things you do that you love, and start recognizing that those are the things that make you feel like you've exhaled, that you've come back to that moment of silence. You'll also notice that a lot of them don't involve a bunch of chatter. They involve things that you love the taste of, the feeling of, the sensation of, the smell of. The senses are a direct connection to that silence, and they have no words. They're just a sense. Coming back to just that sense, you're now in this experience where God speaks to us. God speaks to us in feelings, not thinkings. End your day with silence instead of scrolling. Turn off your iPad. Start looking at this moment of just going, I'm going to lay down. I'm going to be silent. And I'm going to be aware of whatever's coming in. And I'm not going to judge it. I'm not going to say it has to be a certain way. And I'm just going to start being still. When the TM movement took a bunch of meditators into the city of New York and had them meditate on peace for hours, that day, the crime rate in New York City dropped by 30%. 30%. The day after they left, it jumped right back up. Your inner peace affects your outer experience. Your personal silence is a breakthrough for everybody around you. Monks use silence as spiritual purification, but it's a matter of not only just being silent, but being in that spiritual essence of love that's there, embodying that spiritual essence of love. The first time you sit still, it's going to seem like you're lying to yourself, or you're being dumb or something like that. But the longer you sit there, the sooner peace surrounds you. As you try some of these practices, as you start to integrate silence and stillness and presence, share your experience in the comments below. Show us your experiences so that we can learn from you. This channel is a community, and the comments section is where we communicate. And the people who aren't being loving in the comments section, don't worry about them. I'll handle them. I'll get rid of them. They will not be out there. Second, they start doing hateful things out there, I'm just going to hide them from the channel. You don't have to worry about them. This place of community, you have someone who's taking care of keeping it safe. And realize that silence is not empty. It's where spirit speaks. Don't fear silence. Welcome it as the doorway to peace. Live into that experience to realize that being still and knowing that I am is the direct way to your own divinity, and understanding that you have your own truth. And all of the chatter that's telling you the truth you're supposed to believe is not something you have to take. And that's my thought on this. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See you. Bye.